So I'm actually gonna put on makeup today, like for realsies. I always put on a little bit of makeup. I always have to have something on. I can't just go completely barefaced.
I'm too insecure.
I'm gonna put on a little bit more makeup because I want to film a Colleen's Corner, if you can believe it. But there's so many good questions today for the Colleen's Corner. I think I'm just gonna, like, while I'm putting on makeup, just chat with you guys about some of the questions I saw. One in particular jumped out at me, which was someone asked what's like some of your crazy auditions experiences. I'm a horrible auditioner. Like, I feel like I get a question a lot when I do Q&As and stuff, like, what's some advice you have for people who get nervous for auditions? And I honestly don't have advice because I'm the worst auditioner in the world. I get so freaking nervous. I always choke up. I always do terribly. Like, truly, I always do so bad. I'm like one of those people who, like, I like to perform, and once I have the job, I like can do it. But getting the job for me was always really hard because I'm horrendous at auditions.
Horrendous.
It's normal to be nervous. So, like, I guess that's maybe my advice. I also like to look forward to, like, okay, in 2 hours, this is over. All the stress you're feeling, all the anxiety, all the nerves, all the, like, gagging and dry heaving and tears and all the stress and all the fear will be gone because your audition will be over. It'll just be done. Like, I always like to think about, like, okay, in 24 hours, you won't even be thinking about this anymore. How great is that? So that's kind of the only thing that sort of can calm me down for 2 seconds, but I still am a horrible auditioner. I've walked out of auditions in the middle of them. I have completely choked, cracked. I was in Seussical the Musical as Gertrude, and some people from Disneyland came and saw me in it because someone in the cast worked at Disneyland. So the Disneyland casting directors happened to come see me in a show. I didn't know them, they didn't know me, but they got my number because they loved me in Seussical, and they called and they're like, we loved you in Seussical, we want you to come audition for High School Musical. That's how I got the audition for Disneyland when I worked there. I don't even know how they got my number, but they did. So I went, and I was so nervous because the idea of working at Disneyland was like, I didn't feel like I was good enough to do that, and it was just, everyone who was auditioning was so talented, and I just felt so not good. And so I totally croaked, like, forgot my words, my voice cracked. I did horribly. Like, if I had just gone to that audition, there's no way I would have gotten into the show. But because they had seen me in Seussical, they gave me like a callback. And at Disneyland, how it worked is your callback, it happens the same day. So, like, you go on audition, or at least my experience, and then they give you the callback and you just keep staying, and then they keep making cuts and you just stay basically all day. You don't get cut. And so I couldn't believe I didn't get cut. I was like, how did I not get cut? My audition was so horrible. And when I went in for my callback, they're like, Colleen, we know you were nervous. We want to give you another try because so-and-so saw you in Seussical. She loved you, and she says, you know, we should hear you again. So basically they were like, you sucked, but this one person said you were good, so we're gonna hear you again. And so that gave me a little bit more confidence because I'd already gotten the bad audition out of the way. So then, like, my second audition was better. So anyway, that's just an example of how horrible I am at auditions. That's not the story I wanted to tell though. Sorry, I'm all over the place. The story I wanted to tell reminded me of, like, a really awkward, horrible audition experience I had in college. Oh my God, this is such a long story. I don't know if I'm not gonna tell the whole thing, but basically I was gonna audition for a show. So I auditioned, and someone who was working on the show, like one of the, like, head people who was working on the show, who was at my audition, messaged me on social media and was like, hey, you were so great. And I was like, oh, thank you, you know, responded back, thank you so much. And this guy just kept talking to me and kept being like, you were so talented, you were so good, and blah, 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 and was like really, really nice, but like too nice. Like, it was like flirty nice. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, this man's supposed to be like, essentially he would be like one of my bosses on the show if I got in. Like, this feels kind of weird. He's being more than nice. He's not just being complimentary. And so I was like, okay. So I kind of just kept talking to him. This is a perfect example of a young, dumb girl who's naive and also doesn't want to ruin her chance. Like, I didn't want to not respond because I was like, is that going to ruin my chances of getting in the show? Stupid. Like, I should have cared more about myself and safety and respect than getting the show. But I kept responding to him where I should have probably been like, don't talk to me. I kept talking to him, and I wasn't flirting with him. I was not in any way like being like, oh my God, you're so hot or anything like that. But he was being very flirty. I can't remember if I had then had callbacks or what, but he was just, I must have had a callback or something. I don't really remember. It was a very long time ago. But then he started getting more and more forward in my messages and just talking about how he wanted to take me out on a date. And like, he was just being very forward, and I knew I'd have to work with this person. So I was getting more and more uncomfortable. And then I found out that he had a very serious girlfriend. And so then I was extremely uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, this is obviously wrong. Now I'm in a very awkward position. I'm like a teenager, and this man is like saying really complimentary, nice things to me, and I don't want to like ruin my chances of getting in the show because I really, really wanted to be a lead in the show, but I also didn't like him, and I didn't want to participate in like someone who's trying to cheat. And so I didn't know what to do because I was like, if I don't talk to him, I'm not going to get in. And if I do talk to him, I'll get in, but then I have to deal with him. And also he's a cheater and he's trying to cheat. Not that I would participate in that, but anyway, I ended up going to like the head director at the school and being like, hey, I need to talk to you. I feel awkward, but like these are the messages I've been receiving from this person who's working on this show. Then it just got really awkward. That's not even the tea. The tea part is that then I was asked to go over to someone's house who was another person who worked at the school in the theater department. They were like, can you come to our house? We want to have a meeting and talk about this. And we're gonna fire him essentially. So he got like taken off the show. Like he wasn't allowed to work on the show because of that, which of course then I just felt guilty. And no part of my brain, my young female brain was like, that was the right thing to do. And that was the right thing that needed to happen because what he was doing was inappropriate. My mind went like, it's my fault. He's gonna be mad at me. I'm so stupid. Like now he's lost his job. Like I was mad at me. Anyway, that's not where the story ends. So I go to this other person's house who worked at the school, and the girlfriend of the boy was sitting on the couch, and I walked in, I was like, hi, and I don't know this girl, like I know of her, but I didn't like know her, and so I just walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, how awkward. And I don't even remember the whole conversation because I blocked most of it out because it was so uncomfortable, but she was obviously very upset. This girl is sitting there and she's crying. It very much felt like I was like the other woman, even though I didn't flirt with him. All I did was like respond generically to him when he would say things to me. I'd be like, cool, or sounds cool, or yay, or oh, that's nice, or thank you. Like I was never like, I want to go on a date with you too. I never said like, you're so handsome. I never said, I like you. Like I never, ever said anything like that at all. I was very platonic, but I was responding when he was saying inappropriate things to me like that. By the way, and the inappropriate things he said were not like sexual inappropriate things. It was just like very complimentary and flirty and asking me out on dates and saying like how he wanted to spend time with me and be with me and like all this stuff. Anyway, this girl is sitting next to me crying. And then the person who worked at the theater department was sitting there too, like as a mediator, as though we were in a fight. And I felt very much like I was like the other woman, even though like I wasn't. And it was just so uncomfortable. I just felt like I got roped into this mess that I didn't ask to be a part of. I just wanted to audition for a show and ended up in all this drama. And I was so uncomfortable. And she pulled up all these printed papers of all the messages I had sent to my director. So he had given them to someone in the theater department who gave them to the girlfriend. So then the girlfriend was talking to me about all the like things he had said, and then she was asking me questions, and of course I was being completely honest. And I'm not going to say the specific thing he said to me, but I'll give an example of how specific it was. He essentially said something like this:
all I want to do is go to the beach with you in the middle of the night and slow dance to Michael Bublé, and then go to Applebee's after and have a dessert together.
Like it was like that specific of a series of events that he had said that he wanted to do with me. I told her that, and she just burst into tears, and she was like,
that's what we did on our first date.
It was so awkward, and I was just like, I'm so sorry, like I should have never responded to him. I didn't know what to do. I felt so uncomfortable. He's my superior. Like essentially he would have been like director, producers on the show. So like I'd never been in a situation like that before as like a young girl, like, and trying to like make it in theater, and I just was dumb and didn't have enough like mind power to be like, stop that and not respond sooner. I always feel like I was being very obvious that I was not interested in these conversations, and I would always switch it back to the show or just not respond at all. It was very awkward, and I just remembered that whole situation. Anyway, I think, you know, they're living their best lives now, doing whatever they do, but it was super freaking uncomfortable and awkward, and it's a good example of someone who uses their position in power, you know, to like take advantage or try to take advantage of someone. Luckily, he never did take advantage of me, but like, what if I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get in the show unless I entertain this idea, and what if I like hung out with him, you know? I don't know, I obviously wouldn't have, and I didn't. I like tattletaled. Just thought you guys might enjoy that really random story while I put on some makeup. But I'm gonna go finish my makeup, and I'll see you guys later. You guys, look what I just got in the mail. Oh my goodness, what a surprise. Ariana sent me her new perfume. Wishing you happy, healthy holidays, lots of love. Ari. Cute. She has a Netflix documentary coming out soon. I'm so excited. Look how cute. To those of you who might be new to my channel or new to me, if you search like, how does Colleen know Ariana? A lot of time the answer is, I was her vocal coach. Which is hilarious and the biggest lie. I think it started because I used to give her voice lessons as Miranda, and so people were like, oh, that Miranda girl's her voice teacher, but it was like obviously a joke. But I know Ariana because her brother 10 years ago called me when when my Miranda videos first started going viral, and he was like, hey, I'm the cast of Mamma Mia on Broadway. We want to perform with you. And so I was like, great, I'm gonna go to New York, and I have a bunch of other stuff I want to do there. So I wanted to go to New York, and I had friends I could maybe stay with, but I don't know, it was like kind of sketchy. And Frankie was like, well, do you need a place to stay? You can stay with us. And I was like, okay. And we just like vibed so well on the phone, Frankie and I, that I was like, didn't feel scared or weird about it. I didn't even know him, and I was like, yeah, I want to stay with you guys. I stayed there, and I stayed with Ari, because Frankie had his place, but then Ari and her mom had a place. So I stayed with Ari and her mom, and we just got along really well. She was like 15, I think. So that's how I met Ariana. I'm not her voice teacher. But anyway, I'm very excited to try this. Cute. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to smell it. Look at this little thermos, how cute. Oh my God, this is like giving me such 90s lunchbox vibes. I have to open it. How freaking cute is this? Her perfumes always smell amazing. They're the only perfumes I wear. Okay, give it to me. Let's see what it's like. That is good. Ooh, it smells so fresh and so clean. Oh, love that. Oh my gosh, cute. Oh, got it in my mouth. I did a perfume ad for her. Did that ever come out? Because I was in the Thank You Next music video, and then she asked me to be in her Thank You Next perfume ad. I feel like I remember seeing that, but did I see that?
Supposedly she uses juicy raspberries in it, so I've only been eating juicy raspberries for months so that my breast milk will taste like her perfume smells.
Anyway, this is so cute. I love her. I have to text her thank you. There is a very tiny little airport somewhat close to us that sometimes has tiny little like private airplanes that fly. That's what airplanes do. Before the pandemic, we used to take Flynn there, and we haven't in a while, but it's safe because we're just in your car. You can get out and there's no one else around and look at the airplanes fly. So we thought we'd go check it out today, see if any airplanes are flying. What do you see? It's time for Advent. Pull it open. Pull it open. What's that? It's a roller, huh? Okay, it's this one right here. What is it? What is it? Yeah, it's your favorite. Moose. You've been talking about this all day. He's been literally the last 2 days going around the house going dig, 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 because he loves this like digger thing that, look what he got today. I can't believe it. He got the digger kind of thing that like jams like a jackhammer type thing that he's been saying for like literally days. Advent calendar of kindness. You ready, Flynn? Do you consider becoming a bone marrow donor? Read up on the subject and sign up if it feels right for you. My friend Tia just got to go home today because of a bone marrow transplant. Literally saved her. She got one from her brother. That's so cool. Now it's time for the craft. Ooh, cool. Okay, well, it's stuck in there, but it's a wooden heart, but I literally cannot get it out no matter how hard I try. It's stuck in there. Now it's time for 12 days of lipstick. Ooh, a red. We have all these candy canes, and we have to put them on the tree. Like this. Can you put them on the tree? Good job! Flynn, why is there a rock in this toilet? Grandma and Rachel are visiting, so we're being race cars. beautiful. It's 1:15 in the morning. We stayed up late watching a docu-series about, oh gosh, guys, it was, I don't know what it's called. It was on Netflix. It was about like this murderer in England, and it was so sad. This guy killed like so many people, so many women, and it was such an infuriating story because of just the sexism that happened and just the mistreatment of women. It just makes me so sad. And it's so funny because right before we watched it, it's like a 4-part series. I do not recommend it if you don't like murder documentaries or if you don't like things that show off how nothing has really changed when it comes to sexism in the last 40 years. I like documentaries, so we watched it and oh my God, it was just really hard to watch. Right before I watched it, I was on TikTok and this TikTok came up that made me want to cry. It was, you know, sometimes on TikTok they'll be like, tell me you're a mom without saying you're a mom. And then you put in what you say. Like I just did one where it was like, what's something your kid says that they say wrong, but you wish they didn't say wrong? And I just did one where I talked about how Flynn used to say dar-dars and he says doo-doo for, anyway, that's like a trend right now. So where someone asks a question and then you answer it. I saw one where this man was like, hey girls, women, so hey women, what would you do if men were gone for 24 hours? What would you do? And I think he thought people would be like, I'd go through my boyfriend's stuff or something. I think he was expecting lighthearted answers or something. But the one that I saw, a woman replied and she was like, I'd let my daughter play outside in the front yard and I wouldn't worry about her. And it made me want to cry because that is so true. Like, and the first thing I thought when I heard him say like, women, what would you do if there were no men for 24 hours? My first thought was, oh, I wouldn't be afraid. That was my first thought. I wouldn't be afraid to like just go do things. Like I wouldn't be afraid to go on a walk alone. I wouldn't be afraid of like if someone was approaching me to ask me a question. I wouldn't be afraid if someone was walking too close. And trust me, I do not think all men are terrible. I really, really don't. Obviously, like I'm married to a wonderful man. My best friend is a wonderful man. I have a wonderful son and my dad's an incredible man. My brothers are incredible men. Like I know incredible, incredible men. I'm also afraid of men. I'm afraid of men I don't know because of my experiences with men in the past. I've been taken advantage of in the worst ways that I've never talked about and I probably never will talk about on here. I've been manipulated. I've been emotionally scarred and traumatized by men in my life. I've had horrible experiences with men that make me very scared of men. Again, I don't think all men are bad. I think men are awesome and I love so many men, but I'm not scared of women if I don't know them. I never have ever felt scared of women. I don't think they're going to attack me or take advantage of me, but men I do if I don't know them. Like I'm scared of them. And that is really sad that that was like my first thought when I heard that man say that was just like, oh, if there are no men, I wouldn't be afraid of anything. I would just be like confident to be able to like go do stuff and not be afraid of what would happen to me or to my kid or, oh, that makes me so sad. I don't want that to be how it is. That shouldn't be how it is. I don't know. I don't know why that hit me so hard hearing that woman say that. I'd let my daughter play outside and I wouldn't be afraid. And it just made me think so many things. And sorry to get so deep about like such a serious topic, which I know will cause controversy because I know men are gonna be like, well, not all men are bad. How are you feminist? I know not all men are bad. That doesn't mean that some men aren't bad. There are a lot of bad men who are taught it's okay to take advantage of women and hurt them, and they do. But then it made me think like, oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to play outside in the front yard alone. And some of my first memories of serious conversations with my mother, like a very little girl. I remember my mom telling me what to do in case a man tried to do something to me. I remember having specific instructions and like conversations with my mother saying, this is what you need to do if a man ever tries to do this to you or this to you or this to you. These are the things you need to do to get safe. Here are the ways to protect yourself. Don't do this if a man asks you to do it. Don't do this. From a young age, I was taught like men can be dangerous and can hurt you. And like they weren't doing that to scare me. They were doing it to protect me. And they were right because even though I was warned, like bad things happened to me. I don't know. It just makes me like so sad because it shouldn't be that way. I just wish it wasn't that way anymore. I'm not saying all women are wonderful and all men are bad. There are some scary women out there. There are some bad women out there. But if you look at the majority, of the mass murderers, serial killers, abusers, people who do really horrible, awful things. A lot of trigger words that I'm not gonna say right now. The majority of them are men. I just wish that could change. I also am like grateful that I do have good men in my life to show me and other people that men can be wonderful and men can be kind and loving and respectful. I don't know, I feel like some people are gonna be mad at me for talking about that, but whatever. I'm gonna go to bed because it is very late. What? Disgusting. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.